So I do have some questions just around how you're dealing with the last 2 years. I don't know if you had it. I tuned in for a couple minutes on the last Women in Marketing conversation, and that was very interesting. How they were talking about how they were coping through the pandemic. Um, I personally found it really challenging. I've been with KPM for the last 20 months, and for a majority of time, I've been working from home. And as all of us know, it's not easy, but there have been some really positive things that have come out of it. And I was just curious to know what have you learned? What have you found that's been helpful? For women, for yourself, just over the last 2 years during the pandemic.
Well, I think the pandemic has had such a disruptive and deep impact on so many of us. I know for me personally, I have had some huge challenges that I've had to work through, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. So I mentioned when I was talking about my career journey that I had moved to Sargento about a year and a half ago. So this was right at the onset of the pandemic. I had made the move from New Jersey to Wisconsin. So I had just moved to a new town, was working at a new company, new category, new brand, had a brand new team, which, by the way, I had a chance to meet a few of them face to face before we started working remotely. But similar to you, Nancy, the majority of my team, I hadn't had a chance to meet. And I only got to know them virtually. So I was sitting at home doing all of these virtual meetings. And at the same time, I also have a 6-year-old daughter who moved at the same time and wasn't able to start school. So I'm juggling virtual meetings and juggling virtual school for my 6-year-old daughter. And, I think similar to one of the themes talked in the last presentation, empathy, it was a huge takeaway for me, is that, it's really important to lead with empathy. We are all experiencing change right now, our teams, our consumers, and we just, it's a time to be empathetic to the new dynamics. And I know from a company standpoint, a lot of companies are trying to figure out what it means to adjust to these new dynamics. From a Sargento standpoint, we've really focused on making strides in 2 areas. The first is mental health, and then the second is flexibility. And from a mental health standpoint, we are trying to make sure that there are more mental health resources available for employees. And then from a flexibility standpoint, we've actually gone to a core hours program. So essentially, we're doing meeting times from 8 to 4 Monday through Thursday, and then 8 to 12 on Friday. So it's kind of like summer hours, but for the full year. And then on Mondays and Fridays, we have the option of either coming in the office or working from home. So, it's really great to have that flexibility. And I think just with these new dynamics, it's really essential.